In the early March of last year, Joe Biden, who had previously played a key role in canceling the Keystone XL pipeline in the Barack Obama administration, became the clear frontrunner for the Democratic nomination for president. Nevertheless, 1 month later, Jason Kenney announced a deal on KXL that committed up to $7.5 billion of Alberta taxpayer dollars to this project. The Premier has since ignored repeated calls to release the details of this deal, including a detailed risk analysis. And, as many expected, yesterday, we learned that the President-elect may cancel the project altogether in his very first day in office. Now, we understand how important KXL is to Alberta and the many jobs that it will create. And that's why when we were in government, we secured and committed 50,000 barrels of oil to the project as a show of support and to ensure that Albertans got the maximum return for the resources that we all own. We supported them in a prudent way that protected Alberta dollars. Now, the Premier unfortunately took a different approach, investing billions even before securing a seat at the table. When TC approached the government, they should have found a less expensive and risky way to keep the project alive throughout the period of uncertainty that was created by the impending U.S. election. And then, after May, when President-elect Biden declared that Keystone would be cancelled should he be elected, the government should have raced to find ways to protect Albertans' dollars. And even more importantly, this UCP government, from the day they put the money down for Keystone, as well as long before that really, should have been working day in and day out to prove that it can be a critical partner in the continental battle against climate change. The incoming administration has been very clear that that's what it's looking for, that it's looking for action on climate change. And quite frankly, here in Alberta, we had the time to demonstrate our capacity on this issue. But that's not what we've seen from this UCP government. If this project, or any other pipeline for that matter, has any chance of success, the UCP needs to get out of the business of denying climate change. They need to board up that ridiculous failure that is the so-called war room, that has been nothing but a bumbling mess. And they need to stop using taxpayer dollars to legitimize junk science that denies climate change, as we have seen from the Steve Allen inquiry. Even members of the UCP's own caucus regularly question the science of climate change. None of this helps our cause, not with Keystone and not with securing additional markets for our product here in Alberta. When you go so far as to take $7.5 billion from Albertans, you had better do everything that you can to get into the room to preserve that investment. Instead, the Premier and his cabinet have been standing outside, throwing rocks at the window. We needed to show ourselves as partners. We've been there before. We could have gotten back to that point had the Premier been willing. Now, even now, if there is hope for KXL remaining, this government needs to change course. The Premier is currently swinging wildly at anything and everything, and his efforts, quite frankly, smack of desperation and a teeny bit of panic. He's threatening lawsuits while also pleading with the U.S. to let KXL proceed. He's publicly insulted the President-elect's campaign chair while complaining that nobody will take his meetings in Washington. None of the government's work to date helps our cause, not even close. But here we are. It's time for the Premier to come clean now with the people of Alberta, the people who he actually represents. To him I say this: release the details of the deal that you struck on KXL. Come clean with Albertans on just how much we're all in for. In Canadian dollars, to be clear, broken down between the $1.5 billion equity investment that we believe is already gone and the $6 billion in loan guarantee, a portion of which we expect we've also already lost. And also, release the evidence and the risk analysis, finally, on which you initially based this very risky decision.